everyone, it's Paola and today I'm bringing you my April wrap-up. This comes a little late, but I hit a little bit of a wall when it came to finishing Vida. I made the decision to not finish it at all. I think I just missed 2 or 3 days in total, which is wow. I cannot believe that I managed to upload a video every single day for 27 days pretty much straight, and I am very happy with the results. I really enjoyed making videos every day and sort of keeping myself accountable with creating and stuff. And then I got a little tired. But anyway, today is the April wrap-up. And this is not the order that I read the books in. It's just a weird way I ordered them so that they would flow nicely. At least that's my opinion. Let's just get started. The first book that I'm gonna talk about is Five Midnights by Ann Davila Cardinal. This is a murder mystery / supernatural thriller about a white-passing Puerto Rican American girl who is the niece of a detective in Puerto Rico who also wants to be a detective herself. I really did not like this book. I don't know how else to put it. I don't know how to put it nicely. It just really grated my nerves for a number of reasons, but I think the main reason can be summed up in this quote of the book, and it goes, "She was half Puerto Rican, half, if only she actually looked it," which left me thinking, what the fuck does that even mean? There was also an ableist slur thrown around a lot, which I talked about in my March wrap-up. It really annoyed me. Another thing that I didn't really love about this book is that there was no chemistry between Lupe, the main character, and the love interest. I think the first time they interacted with each other and the sparks seemed to fly between them was when she got in his car because they were on their way to doing something, and she was like, "Oh my god, my knee is touching his knee and this is happening," and I'm like, what the hell? There was no chemistry there. It really bothered me, made no sense. I hate it. And finally, the thing that really grated me about this book, that the thing that made me go like, well, then there's no point to this happening, is the fact that there was a murder mystery going on and the police were doing their jobs. So I don't understand why Lupe had to go out of her way and solve it herself. And you may be thinking, but it's supernatural. Human detectives don't believe in the supernatural. Oh, but they do in this book. Basically, Lupe is like, "Hey, do you know about blah, blah, blah? Do you think it could be real?" And her uncle goes like, "Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense." So then I was like, well, then what's the fucking point of Lupe wanting to solve the mystery if the uncle was gonna believe her supernatural theory? Yeah, it was just a bunch of white Latinx nonsense, and I really didn't like that there were no stakes. Next up, I want to talk about Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. This book takes place in 60 seconds, the time it takes a kid to decide whether or not he wants to kill his brother's murderer. It's set during an elevator ride, and it's so good. It's told in verse, and it is narrated by the author on script, and it is just the most gripping and exciting thing I've read in my life, because it's not just about will he do it, will he not do it. It's all about what contributed to his brother getting killed. So it's a very interesting book. Definitely check it out. Next up, I read Ghost Girl in the Corner by Daniel Jose Older. This is a novella set between books 1 and 2 in the Shadowshaper Cypher series, and it is so good. It's about Izzy and T, and they are solving a mystery about 2 missing girls. The first one is the Ghost Girl in the Corner, and the second one is a girl who is currently alive and she went missing. This is so good because it mixes perfectly well the longing and the missing and the heartbreak with the thrilling mystery. It's gay, it's fun, it's short. check it out. Then I read Shadow Housefall, also by Daniel Jose Older. This is the second book in the Shadow Shaper Cipher series, and it's about Sierra, our main character, who receives a very strange card depicting a beast called the Hound of Light, which is an image from the deck of the worlds. This deck helps track the players and the powers of all the shadow houses in the city, which is New York City. And when the real hound begins to stalk Sierra through the streets, the Shadow Shapers know what their next battle is. This is so fast-paced and thrilling. Daniel Jose Older is so good with the ensemble cast. The new love interest was cool a little bit. Like, I really felt the chemistry between Sierra and him. But I didn't really love the lack of Robbie. I felt like there was really no point in Robbie not being there. I don't know. It was weird. It was weird. But it blended really well, like real world issues like sexism, racism, police brutality, etc., with the supernatural things that are going on. The subplots are incredible. The cast is incredible. Sierra is incredible. I loved everything about this book. And then, in preparation for the Navigating Latinx Identity in Fantasy panel that I hosted in April, I don't remember the date exactly, but I did it last month and it was so exciting. I read Shadow Shaper Legacy by Daniel Jose Older. This is the third and final book in the Shadow Shaper Cipher series. I have mixed feelings about it. I'm gonna talk about the things that I love first, and then I'm gonna end with why I have mixed feelings. So, things that I loved. The pacing. The pacing is spectacular. I don't know how Daniel Jose Older, he better teach a seminar one day on how to do this, because wow. And another thing that I really love was the action. I really enjoyed the way that action was described and how it was built up, and then we have all this payoff. It's great. However, two things that really bothered me. The thing between Sierra and Anthony, the new love interest, seemed a bit rushed. It really reminded me of when I was reading The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, because it felt like Sierra and Anthony's romance blossomed somewhere between book 2 and book 3, and in book 3 was just like, hey, we're getting serious, let's do this and that and blah blah blah, and it was just like, wait a minute, when did this happen? How did we get here? And the second thing that I didn't really love was that some things seemed a little bit too convenient, but there were some things that I was just like, come on, this character cannot just be that good. Or come on, this character cannot just be telling on themselves like outright. This is just meh. Like, it didn't really make sense to me. And the thing that makes me have mixed feelings is that I don't know if the romance between Sierra and Anthony was actually rushed and if things were a bit too convenient, because I read these books on a rush. I had to read 5 books, so I had to read them really quickly because I wanted to read other things, and that just did a great disservice to my reading experiences, especially for Daniel Jose Older's books, because I had to complete 1 extra book. And I don't know if it was just me or if I really had to read these books quickly, or if I just put the pressure on myself. I don't know what it was, but I really need to reread this series. Next up, I read Dark and Deepest Red by Anna Marie McLemore. This is my favorite thing that I read this month, just so you know, right off the bat. This is part historical fiction, part fairy tale retelling, part magical realism, and all parts queer. It's in dual timelines. The first one is the 1500s and present day. It follows La Fière de la Danse and Romany characters. It's about roots and prejudice and finding love and hope in the darkest places, and it's so good. I don't have a favorite thing in particular because my favorite thing was everything. I love how hard this is to read in terms of it dealing with harsh topics like racism, xenophobia, transphobia, fetishization. So trigger warnings for that, but I think it does it in a really beautiful way where it doesn't romanticize these issues, but it also doesn't let them slide. I don't know how to explain it. It was just magical. Now let's talk about Mew Squad by Chantel Acevedo. This is the most wholesome thing I've read all year, pretty much, and it was beautiful. It is about Callie, a Cuban American girl who lives in Miami, and she discovers she is one of the Greek muses after she accidentally turns her best friend into a pop star. It combines being Cuban and the Greek myth so well. I highly recommend you watch the panel so that you can hear Chantel herself explain how she managed to incorporate both cultures. I really love how this deals with friendships in a very honest way, particularly because it deals with characters at a very young age. I think they're between 11 and 12 years old. So the jealousy that sparks because of Callie's best friend becoming a pop star is very, very palpable, but very, very realistic, and it's just a very honest portrayal of friendship, and I love that it is very wholesome. I love that it portrays female friendships, and it's wonderful. Give it a try. It comes out on July 7th. The final book that I read for the panel was Blaze Wrath Games by Amparo Ortiz. This is set in an alternate contemporary world where magic and dragons are a thing, and our main character is called Lana Torres. She is about to compete in the International Blaze Wrath Cup to represent her country, Puerto Rico, in its first appearance in the cup. This one is so intense, and once it picks up, it does not stop. It is full of plot twists, and I love the aspects of being part of a team, the bonding and the training sessions in this. I really enjoy these parts of books where characters are playing a sport or doing a thing and they have to train hard for them. It's not like the skill just magically appears, or they might be really talented but they need to learn how to be part of a team. The only complaint that I have is that at times I feel like there was a little bit too much going on, so it was hard to keep track of who was who and what each character had done. But other than that, it's so great. I cannot wait for everyone to read this book. It comes out in October 6th. Now I want to talk about the books that I read for the weekend's marathon. I read 2 little novellas. The first one was There's for the Night by Katie Robert. This was the group book. It is set in New York. It follows a girl called Meg who is going to a bar to celebrate her 23rd birthday, and she meets 2 guys, Theo and Galen, and they both want to dance with her and they both want to sleep with her. It's fun, it's steamy, and it ends with a cliffhanger, so I was like, wait, what the hell just happened? Why don't I get the entire story? Which is fantastic. Props to the author for the incredible sex scenes. I don't think we give enough credit for great sex scenes in romance books. I don't know why, but I've read my fair share of romance books where the sex scenes were either a little bit confusing or just not sexy at all. But this one is fantastic, and I think I should give an extra kudos to the author because it's a threesome. And the second book that I read for this marathon was Guarding Temptation by Talia Hibbert. Oh my goodness. This is a forced proximity romance novella about Nina and James after she gets death threats for her political journalism. This is so great because they both want each other, but they think that the other doesn't want them. So it's a little bit of a slow burn, but it's so steamy and sexy, and the longing and the angst. Oh, God tier. Then I read La Distancia Entre Nosotros by Reina Grande. This is a memoir about a girl whose parents immigrate to the United States and leave her and her siblings behind in their hometown, Iguala Guerrero. Iguala Guerrero is a very rural part of Mexico. Trigger warnings, big trigger warnings for child neglect, child abuse, and domestic violence. They are very present in the book, and they are also super graphic. So please take care of yourselves if you want to read this book. I honestly do not know how to talk about this book without feeling like I am either sensationalizing or romanticizing the author's life. And I also don't think I am in a position where it's appropriate for me to emit any kind of judgment on how things were handled in terms of parenting. So I'll just say that I really love this book. It's very vivid, and its happy moments help with it not being unbearable to read. And finally, the last book that I read in April was The Complete Poetry of Edgar Allan Poe. I bought this book in 2016, I think, and just got around to reading it because BuzzFeed Unsolved did an episode on Poe's death, and I got really intrigued. Honestly, thank God for the people who read the poems and uploaded their readings on YouTube, because they saved me. They really helped me read the book. The poems are so freaking well read. A lot of them have a little bit of background music. They're just so great. I will leave the playlist down below. I think there are 42 out of the 45 poems that are included in this. This one includes The Raven, which is, I think, arguably one of Edgar Allan Poe's most known works, and it also includes the poem about Annabel Lee, the poem that Noah Centineo's character plagiarized in To All the Boys I've Loved Before, P.S. I Still Love You movie. This particular edition contains a bit of a preface on who Edgar Allan Poe was, the kind of life that he led. He married a 13-year-old when he was 27, which is like not good. And we also have a little bit of an afterword. So yay, that was all I read in April. I read a total of 12 books, and I am super happy with myself. I haven't read a lot in May. So yeah, let me know down below if you've read any of these books or if you are interested in any of these books. Also, let me know what your favorite book that you read in April was. And if you haven't already and you'd like to, go ahead and hit subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.